Hi, welcome to 28 of the Martian Movers 30-day challenge. I'm obviously your host, Marina Mars, and today we're going to be constructing some love letters to life. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to share them in the comment section whenever you are inspired to add your spice into this melting pot of love. Can you believe we're on day 28? That means after today, we only have 2 lessons. That's it. So let's make it count. Let's just move right ahead. So we've discussed at great length, what it means to be grateful and happy. We also talked about what it takes to integrate, savoring and gratitude into your daily lives, turning it into a habit rather than a random ritual. We also, speaking of rituals, talked about rituals, right? So we learned how to use them in order to implement massive perspective shifts. So today and tomorrow, I'm going to be combining all of these topics from 2 completely different angles. And today, we're going to write a real-ass letter with a real-ass pen. If it's not obvious, you're not going to be typing this on your phone. So let's write a love letter to life, and we'll seal it with a movement practice at the end. So think about this as if you're writing the love letter you wished you could always receive, right? So I'm going to begin by just reading off this list of prompts that I have for you. And if you'd like to write this alongside the video and pause along the way, I think that's an excellent idea. Or go ahead and watch and come back and then however you want to do, And also, if any of these prompts just aren't appealing to you or don't ring true, that's fine. Just skip over it. This is literally just me trying to help you remember why you like yourself and why you like living and why you love your passion and why you even took this challenge in the first place. So here's some prompts. So what have you been doing right lately? How have you overcome some of life's toughest challenges to date? You're still alive. Congratulations. So why do you think that is? Is it because you have great habits? Is it because you're really good at loving people? Is it because you're an excellent problem solver? Is it maybe because you're tenacious? Is it because you're not afraid of no fucking fight? You're gonna fucking face it. P.S. Luck does not count here at all. We are trying to own our self-love right now, so don't just be like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. No, own it. Own what you've done to get to this point. And don't compare yourself to others in that regard. Back to the prompts. Is there anywhere in life that you can kind of give yourself a little bit more grace? So, in what ways have you been hard on yourself? Is there something else that you need to forgive yourself for? Have you been allowing yourself to be a perfectly imperfect human? Is there a pep talk that you need right now? Can you give it to yourself here? Are there areas of yourself that are absolutely screaming in agony right now? Is there any way that you can tend to those wounds? Can you be honest with yourself in terms of addressing where it came from? Can you assure yourself that everything will be okay because you are willing to make that commitment to yourself? Maybe you're talking, about your future self, right? Talk to them as if it already happened, right? So is your future self what do you want them to be doing in 3 years? What are they wearing? What are they? Who are they surrounded by? What are they surrounded by? What's on their walls? What's in their little cubby holes? Are they smiling? Do they smile a lot? Are they worthy of love and respect? So this list of prompts, has 3 main categories because in my experience of writing love letters, which I have literally written thousands at this point, follow a basic structure. So it starts with 1, an outpouring of love, which is why I was like, yo, what have you been doing right lately? Are all the things going awesome because you have great habits? Are you good at loving people? So that outpouring of love, just give yourself a fuckload of compliments. The second part is a confession of some very intimate type that may have never been spoken before. So, like I said, are there some areas of yourself that are screaming in agony? Are there parts of you that need a little bit more grace? Allow yourself to have grace with yourself. Can you make that recommitment to yourself? This is where you get vulnerable as fuck and you say stuff that is scary. If you're writing a sentence and it feels scary, that's how you know you're writing it right. If you're writing and this is easy and like you're done and you're like, wow, that was great, like I can guarantee you didn't probably, you probably weren't fully honest with yourself. This should be hard in some ways. There's always something to work on because mindfulness is a journey that doesn't end until death. There's no such thing as waking up one day and being like, I'm enlightened. Like, it's just, no, especially in this COVID world, like, just be honest with yourself. So once it's done, you have the third part of the letter, which is kind of like the closing. I like to think of it as like a feedback sandwich, right? Like, so if the first part was outpouring of love and the middle part was like kind of touchy, then the third part, you like to have that action plan for continuation of love. How do you keep the love going and flowing? So that's why I was like, hey, let's maybe talk about your future self, maybe in 3 years, you're talking about it as if it already happened, so I see you're wearing, I see you wearing your favorite outfit, head to toe crushed blue velvet, you've got a feather in your hair, like you just don't care, and you are killing it, and you deserve all that success because you worked so hard, and you finished this program, and I'm just so dang proud of you. Boom. That is a closing. That is a solid closing to a love letter to yourself. Please keep this letter safe once you've written it. Let it act as your light on a dark day. This act of self-love is fucking courageous, you guys. I think the level of bravery required to complete this specific task is massive and it's highly understated. So be very proud of yourself for doing this. You'll continue to cherish it even 10 years from now. And also I think, I might have been like one of the last people to have a cursive writing class back in 2nd and 3rd grade. So to this day, I kept that up. To me, that movement of my hand is enough to, bring out new ideas, new clarity, get me into the flow state. So really make sure you're writing. And don't worry if your handwriting is funny or maybe you want to take it slow and you were like, oh, well, now that you mentioned it, I haven't done cursive in a while, so let's see how it feels. Point of what I'm saying is there is energy that is captured in your handwriting that says a lot more about you that you may not even notice in the moment. So for example, when you're writing this letter, and I talked about those 3 layers. So maybe in the beginning, you're writing and you're like, yay, like here's all the things that I kick ass about. And so your handwriting is like, light and airy and there. But that middle part of the letter where you're getting really honest and vulnerable and scared a little bit, maybe your handwriting changes. The spacing, the size, what kinds of words that you use, a lot of things. There's a lot of nonverbal communication you can have with yourself if you use a pen and paper. Things that you would never be able to pick up on if you were just doing this on your phone, for example, or a laptop. So let's talk about more movement than just our hands, right? Let's turn this love into action. So when writing this letter, some not so great things may have in fact come up for you because I definitely just fucking pushed you to go there. And that's epic because that means the process is working. So you want that darkness to come up in order to be able to face it and relinquish it, and then you can be free. Make note of any of these types of thoughts that may come up. Especially if they're kind of loud and distracting and they're not something you necessarily want to include in your letter, but you're like, okay, this is something I definitely need to deal with. Take note on that. because you're going to take those not so great things and you're going to write one sentence about how great it would be if you just didn't have to bear that burden, right? And then next, you'll rephrase it as if it's already in your past. So here's an example of what I mean by that. So something that happened to me this week specifically, as of recording this episode, sometimes my sadness is expressed via anger. And it makes people who are trying to help me feel like I'm angry at them, and it only pushes them away, and that's just like not my intention. Unfortunately, I'm just not really that cute when I'm sad all the time. Sometimes I just get loud and angry. Never at people, but you know, I know you feel me. So it's not my intention, and it would just be really nice to be able to sit with my sadness in a less harmful way. Because I don't want to push away the very people that I love who are trying to help me. So what would my future statement be in regards to that not so great thing? Well, I now allow myself, space to be vulnerably sad. And hold on, I'm going to pause this real quick. Basically what I do is I allow myself to be vulnerably sad as a completely separate emotion and reaction. Completely separate from the situation at hand. If something else adds complexity to the situation, that doesn't mean that I have to mix myself up, right? So I can be sad, I can pause, and then I can move forward into the next facet of the situation. Multitasking emotions only leads to confusion and frustration, so now I take my time. So this is obviously a problem that I just said I have right now, but I'm talking about it as if it's already resolved, because where attention goes, energy flows, right? So next, we're going to take that future statement that we made about ourselves, and we're going to go into our favorite movement practice with that intention. So, if you have a mirror, or, you're on a yoga mat, or whatever it is, maybe put that statement on the mirror, or write it on a little note card and put it in front of your yoga mat. Or maybe you're running, just have a little note card and just hold it, or maybe stick it in your pocket. It's there. Just take a look every time you take a break, and you're drinking a cup of water. That's a great place too. On your water bottle, you can easily put a Post-it note and put some little pieces of tape, and your intention is right there, so you know what you're supposed to be focusing on in this specific flow. So I want you to move as if you are already that person. So you have done all the work. You have forgiven yourself. You have given yourself grace. You have paused. You've rested. You've played. You've taken time. And you are the person that encompasses the quality that is no longer bad. So move with that intention. In my example, honestly, that would mean that I'll probably pick like a super slow, sad emo song, so that I can take my time being sad. Then I'd take a moment of silence after that track, and then I'd put on a second song that, maybe makes me feel empowered to be able to tackle the situation that made me feel sad in the first place, or what I like to call like my problem-solving soundtrack, which is basically a playlist that I started back in college when I was studying math. It's a lot of just like hard, like heavy, like techno beats, just like, but I would play that after the emo track because those are separate emotions and I'm taking my time between them, rather than picking like an upbeat, like fucking complicated emo song that's like, wow, the lyrics are sad, but it sounds happy. Like, no, my goal is to stop multitasking emotions so much when possible, right? Good luck, my beautiful Martians. Please tell me about your experience with the flow state, with this lesson, anything you want. Head on down to the comment section and just tell us all about it, and please don't be shy. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Until next time, my loves. XOXO.